Good morning, everybody. I just poured me a cup of coffee and I figured I would just have a conversation this morning on my plan to get really wealthy if the housing market crashes. So if you're watching this video or you've been watching the news and you're seeing the stock market get crushed, you're seeing the housing market stagnate, and a lot of people think that the market is going to pop. It's going to crash. It's going to go down. Well, this is my plan for if the housing market collapses to get really wealthy. And since I did this in the last market run up and I got a lot of experience in this, I wanted to put my thoughts out there for y'all. So if you're watching this, this is my plan to get really wealthy through real estate in 2022, 2023, 2024 if the housing market collapses. So if you're watching this video in the future and it's collapsed, well, here's your plan. So let's get to it. All right, so my name's Jack and I have the World of Yak Motley here. I do fun stuff on the beach and I do real estate. I sell real estate. I invest in real estate. I flip real estate. I do everything real estate, money, finance, really whatever I get a cup of coffee or a beer and decide to try to do in film. And that's what I do on this channel. So in the last housing market run up, I bought about 5 houses and one of them was mine, turned into mine. It started out as a rental. When the market exploded, I sold them all. And I think I'll do a video on why I specifically sold them next. But right now I'm going to talk about what I'll do when the market collapses. So let's paint the picture here. 6 to 18 months from now, market capitulates, right? Let's say and what you're going to look for is when the housing inventory greatly outruns the amount of buyers on the market. And let's say a lot of people have lost their jobs. I'm not saying I want this. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to be factual and paint a picture. And let's say we get to 8, 10, 15% unemployment, 20% unemployment, and it's really bad. What I'm going to do is I am going to let everything capitulate. I'm going to stack cash as much as possible, as much cash as I can possibly throw in one spot, and I'm going to sit and wait. And I know all the guys out there are going to say, well, cash is trash and all that stuff. No, it's not. It gives you opportunity. It's your powder, it's your gunpowder, it's your dust to throw in the wind when you need to get a good deal. And a lot of times what you lost to inflation, and trust me, I've lost a ton of money to inflation in the last year and a half, being it be 8.6%, really it's probably 15. So that's tens of thousands of dollars I've lost in a year because of it. But what I'm going to do is get it back. So once I stack the money high enough and I'll start making offers, I'm going to make offers good enough that it's not going to matter because I'm going to paint myself good deals. And I want to add that the money in all of this is made on the buy. The buy of the property is where the money is. So that's why you got to make sure you get a really good deal when you go to buy these properties. Because honestly, ARV, after repair value, is really fairy dust, a fairy tale until it actually happens. Because a property is really only worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, no matter what any real estate agent or appraiser says. You have to find a buyer, and when the market capitulates, buyers are hard to find. You're their guy. So you're playing for the future. It's all a guess. If you stick around to the end of this video, I am going to tell you what not to do. And those are a big one, and it's very tempting to do it. So when I see the market basically go into full capitulation mode, I'm gonna go to the MLS and to Zillow and all my friends, and I'm going to look at the ones that have been on the market the longest. I'm going to look for broken houses, trashed houses, for like people that have not taken care of things that smell, carpet, paint, nasty bathrooms or bad roofs. Because one, they probably don't have the money to fix the houses up. They can't sell them because they're really bad shape. No realtor wants to deal with it. And they might be in C to D class neighborhoods. So I'm gonna go to the map and then I'm gonna look at C class neighborhoods. Those are below middle, blue collar workers, not the best neighborhoods, but not the worst. Ones where, the houses are starting to look, ish, and people are starting to get squeezed really hard, and they're motivated sellers. And so that's what you really got to look for, motivated sellers, where they can't list it, they're behind on their mortgage, or there's some type of issue with something mechanical in the property. 4 points: roofs, plumbing, electrical, HVAC. Sometimes you'll find them with bad HVACs. That's $8,000, $6,000. Can't fix it, can't list it, get what they want. So when you have cash, you can get those deals. Most of the time the banks don't want to lend on some of those deals, especially if they're missing floors or a hole in the roof. So that's where you need to be, especially if you have cash. And in this situation, I definitely wouldn't leverage the property unless you have to. If you do, here's the rule of thumb. If you leverage the property, make sure it is a doggone good deal. I mean a doggone good deal, because you're going to be giving the bank all your revenue, like all your squeeze. So the cash flow is only cash flow if you're not creating a job to get it. The trick is to write checks, cash checks, and not have to put any work on this stuff. So you're initially going to buy a property that needs work. You need to turn it around in less than 30 days. I need to get a tenant in it immediately. Let's say you're getting $1,000 a month and your payment's $700 a month to the bank. You got $300 a month cash flow. Now you got doing, all the stuff: insurance, vacancy, maintenance, property management, etc. And you don't want to do all this for $100 a month. Okay, that's what your probably free cash flow will be, because when an air conditioner goes out, you're going to not have cash flow on that house for the next 36 months, whatever, because you just created a job. And maybe I'll go in depth with that on another video, but it's hard to do that on YouTube. So one of the tricks, if you do find one with a mortgage, or try to take it subject to, get their mortgage, because right now we're in a high interest rate environment. Let's say let's say interest rates now are 7%, and I'm talking in the future, and they've got a 3% loan on that house. Try to get a subject to. Look up subject to and how to do that. Cool, you're buying a cheap mortgage. You can't get that now. Those are the ones that you need to play the leverage game with, because you're basically doing monopoly. The same goes for underfinance deals. If you can get them to finance it, you pay them monthly. That way they don't take a big capital gain, and you get the property and you're making the split. Underfinance is a great game. Look up how to do it. It also is great if you own the property outright and you underfinance it to somebody else. It takes the tenant idea out and the maintenance problems out of renting properties. It's great. The goal to it is to have 3 or 4 paid off houses to where the cash flow pays for the next one and the next one and the next one. If you can get them cheap enough, you're just holding it with a mortgage. You're holding the property. So when I say you want to rent it for a year, not a CPA, not a financial advisor, but you want to hold it for a year so you can get rid of the capital gains tax. I think it's 30% right now under a year. So if you hold it over a year, 15% capital gains tax. But if the market has absolute crash, you want to hold the property until the values start going back up again. We saw that happen real quick in this last one, in a year, this last pandemic, in a year. They had almost doubled. I paid $50,000 a pop for my houses, and I was selling them for $125, $150, like I bought one house for 20 grand, sold it for 50, and I rented it for 4 years. So you do the math on that, I did really well on it. The other one I sold for 125. I rented it for 3 years. I want to add, when you're playing the money game, you're playing for doubles. You're trying to double your money, double your money, double your money. Don't get greedy and try to get 100%. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get slaughtered. You're playing for doubles. You get the double, you move to the next deal. You get your double, you move to the next deal. So like, these properties can make you a lot of money if you do it right. Now, I want to talk about wholesaling. So if the market is absolute capitulated and there are a lot of bad houses out there, you need to become an expert in wholesaling properties. Right now, the market, since the market is doing well, wholesalers have kind of disappeared because it got really hard. But when the market goes completely bad and you're finding houses that can't be listed on the MLS, you want to get those under contract and you want to flip the paper to a cash buyer. You need to create a cash buyers list a mile long, everybody you know that buys houses. And once you grab the tail of a beast, grab the tail of a property, and you find that house over there for $20,000 or $30,000 with a broken roof, floor, HVAC, no sink, whatever. You get under contract for, let's say, $30,000. You go over to a guy that's a cash buyer and say, hey man, I'll sell you this contract for 35. ARV is 80. Well, he might like those numbers. He buys the contract. You take that $5,000 split from 30 to 35, that $5,000, it's ordinary income. You do a double close at the table and you walk away with that $5,000, and you just keep doing that. So you've got wholesaling in your kit bag, you got subject to in your kit bag, and now let's talk about Underfinance. If you've got a piece of property that is awesome and somebody doesn't want to take the gain, let's say the owner has it free and clear, they make too much money, they don't want to take the big tax burden and say, hey, owner finance it to me for 6% at $50,000, and you put you a tenant in there, it covers the note, and you just keep moving. Okay, and then when the market shifts, mortgages shift, refinance it. Refinance out whenever you can. And so, because those really don't go on your credit report, so the amount of properties you can get, exponentially increases. So now that you've found the properties, you've gone to C-class neighborhoods, D-class neighborhoods, you got them, you got to buy these things way undervalued. I'm talking 60% ARV, 70% ARV. You have to make really, really low offers, because you're probably going to make 100 before one sticks, but that's the game. You have to get them cheap, or it's really hard to make money in this, or you should just go get another job. So once you have all these properties, you got to figure out management. You don't want to become a maintenance man, okay? I learned this. You can turn into a maintenance man real quick with all these properties. Tenants fighting the garbage man, tenants fighting the roofer, hot water heaters exploding, pipes bursting, somebody scrapped your air conditioning unit outside, somebody stole your chain link fence, cops are at your property for the 15th time and there's a narcotics bust. See how this can go down? So property management is key. They can also be one of your biggest expenses, because they're not going to do any of the work. They're going to call somebody and send you the bill. Keep that in mind. All right, everybody. So here's what not to do when the housing market collapses. And these are traps that will get people, okay? And they will ruin you. Okay, when the market capitulates, okay, all the people that live in the really expensive houses, the majority of that market are going to be reduced down into the middle class, B neighborhoods, C plus neighborhoods. Those are the people that were your C-suite, really high paying jobs that have now either lost their job because of the first to get caught. Those bloated salaries at the top are the first to get cut. And we've probably gone through a situation where banks and builders have built a lot of really big houses with really big mortgages, and they didn't learn from 2008. And now those big properties are sitting on the market and probably been vacant for a while. So do not try to fix and flip a big property. And when I say big property, I'm going to say 200,000. It used to be 200,000 and up, but now it's probably going to be your $300,000 and up property, because the buyer potential for that is going to be very small. Okay, the renter for that property is going to only be a select amount of people. And if the economy has gotten crushed, people are going to be thinking about what can they afford, and what if we can't make the payment. They don't want to go any further lower. Okay, so do not try to flip a big property. It will soak up all your cash. It's going to sit forever, and the risk of not being able to finish is going to be huge. Flipping is like catching landmines. Every once in a while, one's going to go off, and it's going to take all your money. You want to play in the D plus C neighborhoods where they don't cost a lot of money to get in. You'll always have a renter, because the A properties became the B properties people, the B properties became the C properties people, so that upper middle class is now living in those C style properties. They're renting them, they're buying them because that's what they can afford. And it will always be rented. That's why people love trailer parks and RV parks, because when everybody falls from the C-class neighborhoods, they go into the trailer parks and the RVs, and that is their last line. The next step is the underpass. So there will always be tenants there. And when you buy these properties, C, D, and F, the cap rate has got to be huge, okay? 11, 15%, right? Like 11 to 15. Trailer parks, 11 to 15. Like I said, you got to buy these things right. The C neighborhoods, like you're looking at 70% ARV minus expenses, okay? That's where you're gonna play. And when you're flipping, it's a landmine game. You gotta really know what you're doing. That's why the buy and hold for a while, because the renter recoups your cost, and then you make it to the capital gains deduction, like where your capital gains goes down, and then you can sell it or keep it and keep it rented, and your cash flow is going to be huge. That's why I own them outright with cash, is because my cash flow is big and allows me to buy the next one. I get a lot of write-downs, I get a lot of depreciation, and I'm not giving the bank everything, and I don't have to play the rules by the bank and even pay that high insurance premium that we're all seeing now. I want to add, don't buy anything with a pool. Don't buy anything with a chimney. Don't buy anything with a flat roof. If there's gunfire, probably don't want to do it. There's going to be neighborhoods out there that aren't the best but are safe. But if you're hearing gunfire, I had a buddy have a bullet go through one of his rentals the other day, okay? Don't want to do it. If you have to go to the property with a gun on your hip, or with the sheriff's department, don't do it. There are landlords out there that do that and make great money doing it. They're equipped to do that. And if you're not equipped to do that, you got to know what you can do and what you can't do. And you're only going to figure that out by experience. So I want to add, if you have no money, if you don't have any money, okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to sell everything you got. You're going to put it all in one pile. Anything you don't need. Go to the banker, go talk to every banker you can, and find out if you can do no money down, okay? And then you're going to become an expert on wholesaling properties. You're going to wholesale as many properties as you can to create enough profit to go and buy the first deal. And then you're going to play Monopoly from there on. It's a lot more risky if you don't have any money, okay? You're just playing with fire. It's tough. You can do it. First property I bought with the bank. I did 20% down. I did 4.75%. I bought it super cheap. Came out ahead, okay? But you got to buy them right. And don't do the 1% rule, because you're not going to make it. You got to have like 1.5% rent rate to 2%, 2% if you can get it, because you're getting them cheap. That means 1% rule, $1,000 a month on a $100,000 house. You know, if you can get a $50,000 house to make you, $1,000 a month, now you're 2%. That is the albatross. That is the phoenix. That is what you're looking for. You want to get as much rent as you can for what you're putting out. Cash on cash return is everything. So if you don't have any money, you got to figure out how to get some money, and then you got to put that into houses, and then you got to get it to generate more money, and then when you sell it, you made a lot of money. That's the game. So be very careful with leverage. In conclusion, in synopsis, don't leverage properties unless they're a super good deal and never more than like 40% of your portfolio. Figure out how you're going to manage them. Have that in place before you buy the properties, because you don't want to have a property that nobody will manage and you're like, I'm stuck with it. Buy good properties that look good, okay? That's kind of cute. Don't buy ugly houses, because when you go to sell them, nobody's going to want it no matter how good a deal it is. Figure out how you're going to pool the money, your cash. If you don't have cash, find somebody that does have cash and give them a return. You find the properties, they get 8% because the bank's not paying anything. Keep that in mind. Underfinance, subject to, keep all that in mind. I highly suggest finding a specific neighborhood and becoming an expert of it and talk to all the neighbors. Give them your card. Tell them if they ever want to sell it, you're their guy, because you'd be amazed how many will actually call you. Know the numbers to the T and never deviate, because you will lose. Do not elevate your numbers. That is important. I've done a couple videos on that. Go watch those. And that's really it, guys. Look for good deals. They're coming. Don't follow these gurus, no money down stuff, okay? That is just a path to the poorhouse. And I'll go on a rant for that for a second. If it wasn't for the PPP loans and the EIDL loans and the mortgage forbearance and all the stuff that went down in the last year during 2020, 2021, all those guys would have gone bankrupt. And nobody will say that on the internet because they're selling courses. All those over-leveraged guys would have gone bankrupt. Learn how to wholesale, and that is really it. You're going to look at a lot of properties. Every morning you get up, you get a cup of coffee, you look at properties. Make 1 million offers because there's going to be a lot of houses out there, and you need to make your cash go as far as possible. I would say get the cash flow going, and then when you're running low on cash, get creative, okay? Good deals. And that's my plan. As far as like stocks and crypto and all that, I'm going to wait until it absolutely capitulates. If we're down another 20-30%, I'll go into the S&P 500 and start buying stuff. But there are guys out there that stack their cash for years and sit and wait. And then when it happens, they go in and buy everything and they become super rich. You don't have to keep putting your money out there at peak markets like the S&P 500 peak, like the real estate market peak. You don't go into peak markets and keep averaging down, okay? You wait for them to capitulate and then you average down. I'll see you guys later. Don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, and that's my video. See you guys later.